Are we truly living through a fourth industrial revolution? Because we invented artificial intelligence and because we have begun to use it, does that alone justify calling this moment a revolution? If that is the case, then we have to ask a more basic question. Before the Japanese invented the automated washlet toilet, that way of using the bathroom simply did not exist. And once it appeared, it genuinely changed how people experience a very basic part of daily life. In terms of physical sensation and everyday comfort, its impact may not be any smaller than that of artificial intelligence. If changing how we live is enough to be called a revolution, should the reinvention of the bathroom rank ahead of AI? Or imagine someone invents a solar-powered hairdryer, no electricity, no batteries, no charging. As long as there is sunlight, it works. Should that be called an industrial revolution as well? If every new technology, every tool that increases efficiency, is labeled a revolution, then the word itself slowly loses its meaning. So the real question has never been whether we have new technologies. The real question is whether these technologies have changed how we experience being human. You do not need a textbook on the history of technology to understand the first three industrial revolutions. You can feel them simply by imagining how life changed. Before the first industrial revolution, people exchanged their bodies for survival. How much strength you had directly determined how much you could earn. Then the steam engine arrived, and for the first time, people faced an uncomfortable realization. Their bodies were no longer essential. Machines could replace them. Machines could work faster, longer, and without rest. When the production line appeared, this shift became even clearer. It was no longer machines adapting to people. People began living at the speed of machines. The second industrial revolution was electricity. We once believed technology would make life easier, yet the world suddenly became much faster. Lights no longer needed to go off. Factories no longer needed to stop. Rest slowly disappeared. Over time, you realized something had changed. You were no longer using time. Time was chasing you. Then came the third industrial revolution, digitalization. Everything became visible. Everything became accessible. And yet life began to feel strangely empty. Reality turned into images, numbers, and notifications. You could no longer tell what was truly experienced and what only existed on a screen. Looking back, each industrial revolution did not truly change machines. It changed how humans lost control over their bodies, over their time, and over their senses. Now we arrive at artificial intelligence. Life becomes more convenient, but the feeling of emptiness grows stronger. A new question appears. Are you still valuable? Not because you are lazy, not because you refuse to improve, but because the skills you are working so hard to maintain may soon no longer be needed at all. You open your computer, new tools appear constantly. Before you fully understand the previous version, a new one is already here. The problem is no longer whether you are willing to learn. It is that there is no time to learn everything. So you are afraid to stop, because stopping feels like being replaced. Time no longer feels fast. It feels fragmented. Your days are filled with tasks, yet nothing ever feels finished. You try to focus, but your mind is crowded with information, updates, and the constant sensation of being chased. Slowly, you begin to suspect that the problem may not be technology itself. Perhaps the world was never designed to allow you to simply be human. Artificial intelligence has not created a new anxiety. It has only pushed an old one to a point where it can no longer be ignored. So when people say we have already entered the fourth industrial revolution, they may be speaking too soon. A more accurate description might be this. The third industrial revolution never truly ended. From computers to the internet to artificial intelligence, this has always been the same technological path, only accelerating. What is failing is not innovation, but human perception. We are still using old bodily rhythms, old senses of time, to survive in a world that never stops operating. A true fourth industrial revolution will not begin with another breakthrough technology. It will begin only when one condition is met, when humans regain authority over how life is felt, knowing when we are tired, knowing when to slow down, knowing when to stop. If this does not happen, the third industrial revolution will simply stretch on forever. Technology will grow more powerful, humans will grow more exhausted, and increasingly uncertain about why they are so busy at all. Because technology only creates the possibility of change. It is never the revolution by itself. The real turning point arrives when people can no longer live by their old rhythms and habits. When those rhythms collapse, when perception must be rebuilt, only then does a revolution truly begin.